Good morning. Good morning to all of you. I am so excited to welcome you to this very special worship service to celebrate our 50th anniversary. You've probably noticed already, we're in a different format for this special anniversary celebration, the format that we use for homecoming. So I'm hoping you'll all turn your videos on. That's the little button at the bottom of your screen so that we can see you. And for at least right now, if you go up to the top, put yourself on gallery view, or what I like to think of as the holiday squares or Brady Bunch view, so we can all see each other. I'm going to do that right now. Those are the little dots at the top of your screen. It might say speaker view, and so you click it and you'll be able to see that right now we have a lot of people joining us. And so if you would take a few moments to wave to each other or give each other a thumbs up or pat each other on the back. So why don't you take a few minutes and scroll through the screen so you can see who's with us this morning. So nice to see all of you. And those of you who haven't turned on your cameras, don't be shy. We do want to be able to see you if we can. And our congregation, our sanctuary is filling up with people. So it is so good to be with you this morning. I know it is so disappointing we aren't celebrating our service in our beautiful church building together. After having gathered for a wonderful party last night, and then we had a jazz brunch planned for after this service. I know it's really hard. But we hope to hold that gala as soon as we are able to do so safely. I want to thank everybody on the 50th anniversary committee, especially Linda Holloway and Beverly Babaroom, its co-chairs. The staff has worked really, really hard this week to create a very special service for you today. We may not be in our building, but there is no doubt that UUCR is still very much our beloved spiritual home, and we are still connected to each other. Yes, our worship services have changed, but I hope you agree that each Sunday we gather is still an opportunity to nurture our spirits, refuel for the week ahead, and powerfully connect to what is greater than ourselves. I am so grateful for the amazing worship team here. This morning, I'm leading worship with Linda Weaver, our Director of Religious Education, Cynthia Young, our Director of Music, accompanist Jesse Leon. At the end, you're going to see a music piece from our wonderful community minister, the Reverend Julie Price, who is with us today at the end of our service. Mike Schmidt is again running the technical side of worship this morning with Beth DiPasquale, Maggie Mack, and Kara Fortner handling many of the special tech roles for today's very interactive service. Because of the length of this service, we are not going to be doing joys and concerns this morning. And so I have lit one special candle for all that we are all holding in our hearts. In recognition of today is National Coming Out Day. So to all of our LGBTQ siblings. Tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day. So for all of the Indigenous people of this country, and for all that we are holding in our hearts, as yes, we have once again gone through a difficult week. We will be returning to joys and concerns next Sunday. We are beginning today's service with the UUCR Band performing a song from November 1970, the year of our founding. Many of you are going to know this song immediately as soon as I say, Jeremiah was a bullfrog, which I learned this week was originally written by the author as Jeremiah was a prophet, which indeed Jeremiah was, but they didn't like the way that sounded. The words of this song are not exactly church-like. In fact, the lyricist calls it a silly song, but its overall message reflects what we hope this service will bring. Joy to the world, joy to you and me. The words will be in your chat box. I hope you'll sing along.
Sing it out, joy to the world. All the boys and girls now, joy to the vessels in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. You know I love the ladies. I love to have my fun. I'm a high-night flyer and a rainbow rider, a straight shooting son of a gun. I said a straight shooting son of a gun. Sing it down, joy to the world. All the boys and girls now, joy to the faces in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls. Joy to the world. Joy to you and me. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls. Joy to the faces in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls. Joy to the faces in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me. Joy to the world. All the boys and girls. Joy to the faces in the deep blue sea. Joy to you and me.
I saw many of you singing, particularly those of you of a certain age. Thank you to the band for that. Such a fun video. I've chosen opening words this morning that I knew would resonate with some of those of you who were around in the 70s and 80s. We shared them at Al Erickson's memorial service. And Judy, I so wish he was with us today. The opening words are by the Reverend Dana E. Worsnop. They're called, I Want to Be with People Just Like You. Some people say that they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know what they mean, and I know they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a group of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved, to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name for God. I want to be with people who see in me my goodness and dignity, but who also see my failings and foibles and who will still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope of life and hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their minds, their hearts, their gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people just like you. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Young, and I am the music director at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston. It is our tradition to sing a covenant together every Sunday. Love is the spirit of this church. We will sing along with the UUCR virtual choir performance of this lovely arrangement that was composed especially for this congregation by Angela Wiswesser. The words will be in your chat box. If you are visiting us this morning, please accept this song as our blessing to you.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another in fellowship.
Good morning. I'm Linda Weaver, the Director of Religious Education at UUCR. Our chalice lighting words this morning are written and adapted by Reverend Dr. Deborah Hafner. Thank you for these. We gather together, looking back to see where we have been, looking forward to see where we are going, and the paths of those who will come after us. We honor those who have gone before us, learning from their successes and failures. We celebrate who we are today and welcome the possibilities and opportunities that lie ahead. We light the chalice flame, symbol of our faith, with deep gratitude for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. As I light the RE chalice and pass the flame to Reverend Deborah, you may wish to light a candle in your own home. And we have a special treat today, as a few of our members will be helping pass the flame from the RE chalice to Reverend Deborah. Thank you, Marco, Soren, Arya, Luna, and Ali. Thank you, Paul and Catherine.
It's fitting to end that video with Bob Howard, who was part of the group of people who began meeting before 1970 to start a Unitarian Universalist group in Reston, and who is the only person from that original group, those we call the charter members, who is still an actively engaged member today. Maggie or Beth, I'd like you to spotlight Bob for us. I can't tell if that's happened. It has, okay. And now I'd like to spotlight the founding members who are still members of our church, those who were members before the church building was created. Unfortunately, not all of them were able to be with us today. The membership committee has sent each of those founding members a special gift commemorating their role in our beloved community. And I hope some of them have it with you so they can show it on the screen. So in addition to Bob, Maggie, and Beth, will you spotlight Joyce Kirk, who joined in 1971? Judy Erickson, who joined in 1972. There it is, good. Linda Holloway, Glenn and Mary Downing, Barbara Burleson, and Barbara Naif, who all joined in 1973. Hey, Barbara, thank you. Shirley Ingebrigtsen, Irma Brousseau, who I know is here, and Bob Anderson, who joined in 1974. And Bonnie Allen, who joined in 1975. And for a moment, we're gonna unmute all of you. And I would like you to shout or clap or do anything to show your appreciation to this group of people, for we would not be here today without their vision, their commitment, and their dedication. So join me in celebrating them.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have to unmute myself. We're going to Cynthia now.
Just a few moments ago, we sang together our beloved covenant, "Love is the spirit of this church." In celebration of the 50th anniversary of UUCR, your choir has prepared a special performance of a different arrangement of these same words, also based on that original covenant written by Unitarian minister James Blake in 1894. Love is the spirit of this church. The music of this setting is composed by Elizabeth Alexander, a wonderful contemporary composer who I believe may be in our midst this very morning. If she is here, please be welcome, Elizabeth. 4 of our beloved founders, who we just acknowledged and celebrated, appear in the opening of this video, describing for us the early years of UUCR and highlighting some of the most meaningful moments of the past 50. Later in the video, you will see 4 of our younger members sharing how they believe that UUCR lives out its mission of love. The chorus of this arrangement, "Oh, it's love, yes, it's love, for it's love that's the spirit of this church," is repeated a number of times. After you've heard it once or twice, we hope you will join in and sing with us. The words will be in your chat box. Please enjoy "Love is the Spirit of this Church."
In tumultuous year of 1970, a group of us came together to declare ourselves the Reston Unitarian Community Congregation. In September of that year, we held our first wine and cheese social at Lake Ann Hall. In January 1971, the Unitarian Universalist Association welcomed us as an official Unitarian Universalist congregation. By the fall, we had hired a part-time minister and began meeting on Sundays at Forest Edge Elementary School.
In a school library, a real church grew against all odds, thanks to the courage of generous families, including the ministers. Construction of a home began in fall 1975. On the completed floor, a small, beloved community gathered Christmas Eve, with only candles for light, no shelter from the falling snowflakes. Brave voices sang into that magical night, declaring our faith in our shared future. Easter Sunday, 1976, marching joyfully with our pulpit, we came into our new church home.
Over the years, that beloved community has become a circle of strength and love. Together, we have raised our children, celebrated weddings, dedicated new babies, and held memorial services for so many of our loved ones here. We've launched community-wide initiatives like the Alternative Gift Market and Reston Pride, worshiped together, socialized together, marched and worked for justice together. Yes, in 50 years, we have created a meaningful and loving spiritual community for which I am most grateful.
50 years achieved only confirms the spirit of the multiple generations who have lived and continue to live this church. Over 5 decades, we have celebrated, we have grieved, we have disagreed mightily, we have endured, we have achieved, and most importantly and lastingly, we have cared for each other and for our world. Our real church is you, us, and those with us still in memory. For love is the spirit and vision of UUCR.
It is no state that makes these windows bright, for it's love that's the spirit of this church. They're illuminated like a rush of light. Yes, it's love that's the spirit of this church. Amen. For it's love, yes, it's love, for it's love that's the spirit of this church. Not the walls or steeple that are gathered, people is what makes up the spirit of this church. And your sacred altar is the heart of one, for it's love that's the spirit of this church.
It is consecrated by the greater good.
Yes, it's love that's the spirit of this church. For it's love, yes, it's love, yes, it's love, for it's love that's the spirit of this church. Not the walls or steeple, but a gathered people is what makes up the spirit of this church. That's the spirit, love is the spirit. That's the spirit, love is the spirit. That's the spirit, love is the spirit.
Watching our congregation grow as beautifully as our church gardens.
That's the spirit, love is the spirit.
Creating a loving and supportive community for all.
That's the spirit, love is the spirit.
Flying the first pride flag in Reston, Virginia.
That's the spirit, love is the spirit.
Providing a space for all people to be their authentic selves.
That's the spirit, love is the spirit. Oh, it's love, it's love, oh, it's love. That's the spirit of this church. And the walls or steeple are gathered, people is what makes up the spirit of this church. Oh, it's love, it's love, oh, it's love. That's the spirit of this church. And the walls or steeple are gathered, people is what makes up the spirit of this. That's the spirit, love is the spirit. That's the spirit, love is the spirit. That's the spirit of this church.
That was marvelous. Thank you so much. And after we've had a chance to see the slide, can the tech team please unmute everyone so we can applaud that great work?
Yay!
Yeah.
Yay!
Woo!
Bravo!
That was good.
Get this under your.
All right.
Now is the time for all ages. So gather around your screens. A few weeks ago rather, in religious education, children were asked what questions they have for our adult members who grew up at UUCR. Two of our members have shared their answers to a couple of the questions, and I received messages from two more adults who grew up at UUCR. Thank you to Eleanor, Duncan, Jeannie Travis, Jill Fife, Helen Rose, and Blythe Samuels. Enjoy what they have shared with us.
What is your favorite memory as a child at UUCR?
What I liked about growing up at UUCR was something that I didn't appreciate when I was a child. It was when I would go to church, it was more like school. But when I look back now, I really appreciate everything that I've learned, and it really developed my own personal faith.
Of course, I remember YRUU. Thank you. Thank you for that. Through YRUU, I met some great people and my best friends. It was a place where we could examine our beliefs and assumptions, where we were safe and free from ridicule. We asked cosmic and spiritual and stupid questions, and those questions were never given an answer. Eric Brad and Petra Wingate were our leaders, and they provided for us a space that fostered our curiosity and also drove a lot of us to social action once we kind of examined who we were and who we wanted to be. And I love that, and I will always love this place.
Have there always been 7 principals?
My family first started coming to UUCR 39 years ago when I was in first grade. Back then, there were only 6 principals, and there was a lot of language in those principles that didn't include references to any other gender than that of men. For example, the 6th principle was to encourage cooperation with men of good will in every land. Well, how do you think everyone else felt who wasn't a man? Probably not so good. So Unitarian Universalist women began to organize, and guess what? In 1984, when I was in 4th grade, the Unitarian Universalist Association voted on 7 new principles that have more gender-inclusive language. One thing that I value about UUCR is summed up in this quote by American anthropologist Margaret Mead, who was born at the beginning of the last century. She said this: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." Happy anniversary, UUCR.
Coming to this, I think about my experience at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Reston, and it makes me think of just a song that I think when growing up, I always thought it was written for the Unitarian Church. And it's the song of, "Oh, come, 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 come to the church in the wild woods. Oh, come to the church in the vale. No place is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. Everybody come, come, come." Happy anniversary. I'm so glad to be a Unitarian these days. Love you all.
Thank you so much, Linda, for all the effort that went into making that video. And thank you to those of you who have been part of this church for almost your whole lives. We have another special treat today. Carol Shoemaker, chair of our Arts and Aesthetics Committee, spent hours going through our photo archives and pulled together photos from our past 50 years. With Beth DePasquale, with Jesse Leong's help on music, created this wonderful video we're about to show you. And if you look closely at it, you may see some people you know. So yeah, I got teared up and I've seen it 4 times. All of these will be posted on our YouTube channel, as will this entire service, if you want to send it to people or watch it again. I want to thank Beth and Carol and Jesse for that video, but also thank you to Cynthia, Jesse, and Linda and Beth for all the wonderful videos you saw this morning. What an honor it is to be your minister at your 50th anniversary year. 2020, I think we can all agree, will not be forgotten in the history of our congregation, of our country, or of the world. Future generations are going to ask, what was it like to be alive in 2020? The way I asked my parents what it was like to be alive during World War II, or my grandparents during the Depression. Perhaps your children not yet born will ask those of you in your teens and 20s today, what was church like during COVID? Perhaps at UUCR's 75th anniversary, some of you who joined during my time with you will say, remember when we celebrated the 50th anniversary online? I often think of church as a river. You've probably heard the expression, you can't step into the same river twice. It's based on a statement by the ancient philosopher Heraclitus of Ephesus, who said, life is like a river. We both step and do not step in the same river. We are and are not. What he meant was that life is always changing, and so is a congregation. UUCR is both the same, but also very different than we were at our founding, or in the 80s or the 90s, the aughts, the teens. Some of you, including those we are honoring today as our charter member and our founders, you've seen UUCR go through many stages, sometimes flourishing, sometimes floundering. And yet here we are today, more than 250 members strong, more than 340 members, friends, children, and teens honoring our past. More than 220 people right here worshiping with us this morning, celebrating our present and looking forward to our future. So we must begin by honoring those who came before us. Let us remember and be grateful for all of those, including those who are still with us, who first had a vision of a Unitarian Universalist church in Reston. Those who put up their homes as collateral, those who gave their labor, their money, their time to make this church that I am in today happen. Let us remember and let us honor the ministers, the RE directors, the music directors, the office directors, the office assistants, the RE teachers, the board members, the committee chairs, the volunteers of so many kinds and types who have made this beloved community what it is for 50 years. So what I'd like you to do now is we're going to take a few moments, and I invite you to put some of those names that you wish to honor for their contributions to UUCR during our past and present in the chat box. And so that chat box will be open, and if you have people you want us to know, please put their names in now. And to all of us, let us watch them, open your chat and let us watch them scroll by. And so even as we honor these people, let us remember that the members and staff and ministers of this congregation over the past 50 years were not perfect. And some of their difficult legacies continue to impact our culture today. We too are not perfect, nor will those who follow us be perfect. The Reverend Dr. Rosemary McNatt, the president of our Star King Seminary, said it this way: "By no means are we Unitarian Universalists perfect. We often fail as much as we succeed. Yet even when we have been broken our vows 1,000 times, we return to the essential work of justice and liberation for all. We do the work best when we remember what church is and what it is not. Church is not a place to hide. It is not a place to get away from the world. It is not a place we get to pretend that the lives we live and our particular situations are not terribly complex, often confusing, sometimes depressing. Church is the place where we stand with one another, look the world in the eye, attempt to see clearly, and gather strength to face what we see with courage, and yes, with joy." End of quote. You have celebrated so much joy here. The weddings, the babies born and named, the birthdays and anniversaries, the cabarets, the casino nights, the camping trips, the play performed at General Assembly, the potlucks, the dinners at each other's homes, the auctions, the Scandinavian dinners, the stewardship galas, the Christmas Eves, the coming outs, and the calling ins. You have shared each other's sorrows, the memorials, the devastating illnesses, the divorces, the deaths of children, the financial difficulties, the depressions, the disappointments, the congregation controversies that led some to no longer see UUCR as their church home, and now a worldwide pandemic. You have helped change the Reston community for the better. The 19 years of the alternative gift market that has raised more than $500,000 for local, national, and international charities. The meals made and served at the Hypothermia Center. The food, the backpacks, the shoes, the holiday presents collected for Reston Interfaith, now cornerstones. Your work for marriage equality. The many, many marches and protests over the year, including sending 126 people on buses to the Women's March. Your work for civil rights, women's rights, reproductive rights, LGBTQ+ rights, immigrant rights. The founding of Reston Pride. Your current work to UU the Vote. Our work today for racial, economic, LGBTQ, and environmental justice stands on the work you have done here for more than 50 years. In the words of Alondra Williams, the past UUA co-moderator who died tragically a few weeks ago at the age of 41, she wrote, "We are the children of freedom fighters, visionaries, and liberal theologians. We are the phoenix rising out of the ashes of the McCarthy era and the civil rights, women, and queer liberation movements. We are the survivors and beneficiaries of focused beliefs and programming that encouraged us to be the change makers, the boundary pushers, the institutionalists, all at the same time. We are and we will be the ministers, religious educators, congregational presidents, organizers, and social change leaders our faith has led us to be. We wear our faith as tattoos on our bodies and in our hearts. We wear our faith as tattoos in our hearts. Don't you love that? For 50 years, my friends, you have created the Unitarian Universalist Church in Reston as your beloved spiritual home, a place to nurture your spirits and help heal the world. For 50 years, you have sought the truth in love. You have helped one another and you have brought justice to our community. You have taken the risks. You've raised the monies. You've educated the children. You've made the coffee. You've sewn the blankets. You've served the meals. You've sat through thousands, if not 10,000s of committee meetings. You've offered lay services. Yes, you have argued and fought, and you have come back for more. You have made a difference. You have saved people's lives, some of them your own. To paraphrase the opening words, you are people who know that community can be warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. I offer you as my conclusion this morning of my homily words I share regularly at baby namings and at weddings. May this church bring you comfort in time of sorrow, aid in time of sorrow, aid in time of trouble, and the satisfaction of years well spent together. I wish for you and UUCR a full and happy future, as together you seek your answers and you help bring justice to our hurting world. Amen. And so may it be, my friends.
Good morning. My name is Jesse Leong, and I am the accompanist at UUCR. Our closing hymn this morning is not in our hymnal. It is a song we have just heard in the Time for All Ages video earlier in the service. We have been told stories from our members in the 70s about the meaning to them of this special song, Church in the Wildwood. Because our church was originally brown, the congregation would often sing this song in the early years, as they felt it described them, the little brown church in the Wildwood. We are led this morning by soloist Ali Sonovetsky and a small group from the UUCR choir. The words will be in your chat box. Please sing along with us.
There's a church in the valley by the wildwood, no lovelier place in the vale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. Oh, come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the vale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. How sweet on a clear Sunday morning to listen to the clear ringing bell. Its tones so sweetly are calling, oh, come to the church in the vale. Oh, come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the vale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. Oh, come to the church in the wildwood. Oh, come to the church in the vale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale. No spot is so dear to my childhood as the little brown church in the vale.
I saw you singing particularly those of you who grew up in the church. So that was really fun. The closing words this morning I've adapted from something I found online, written by somebody who didn't put their name. Go into the world, strengthened by our past, rejoicing in our present, inspired for our future, and surrounded by the love of this congregation. And I hope you feel that love this morning. The postlude is going to be sung by our community minister, the Reverend Julie Price. So thank you, Julie, for preparing this beautiful video for us. She's going to sing We've Only Just Begun, which was written and produced also in 1970, the year of our founding. And its concluding words speak to our promise. We smile, so much of life ahead. We'll find a place where there's room to grow. And yes, we've just begun. Indeed, I hope fervently that UUCR has only just begun. Please feel free to sing along with Reverend Julie. The words are in your chat box.
We've only just begun to live. White-laced and promises, a kiss for luck and we're on our way. For the rising sun, we fly. So many roads to choose. We started walking and learned to run. Yes, we've just begun. Sharing horizons that are new to us. Watching the signs along the way. Talking it over, just the two of us. Learning together, day to day. Together. When the evening comes, we smile. So much of life ahead. We'll find a place where there's room to grow. And yes, we've just begun. Sharing horizons that are new to us. Watching the signs along the way. Talking it over, just the two of us. Working together day to day. Together, together. When the evening comes, we smile. So much of life ahead. We'll find a place where there's room to grow. And yes, we've just begun.
Thank you to Julie and to Jesse. And I'm going to invite you all, we are going to unmute you all one more time. And I am going to invite you to show your appreciation for all who work so hard on today's service. This is over 100 hours of prep for those of you who think like this is just magic. And so I want to really thank the choir, the soloists, the people who made those videos, our amazing worship team. I am so proud, and I don't know how I could do my job without these people. So to Beth and Linda, Cynthia, Jesse, and then to our amazing volunteers, Mike, Maggie, and Kara on tech. So would you all get unmuted and put yourselves on gallery view? And I would like to invite you to show your appreciation for this last hour.
Gallery view.
Yay!
Fabulous.
Wonderful. That's okay.
Good job.
Done.
Thank
Good
you, everybody.
job.
Thank you to whoever brought the horns. It is now time for me to ask you to be generous to our congregation and to show your appreciation. Our collection plate is not your pledge. It's a way each week we ask you to make an offering as part of your witness and gratitude for the worship service and this time together. I invite all of you, members, friends, those of you who used to belong, visitors, to enter the link you'll see in the slide in a minute or in the chat box into your smartphone and donate to our beloved community. I hope you'll consider making this a special contribution in honor of our 50th anniversary. What does being part of this church and its history mean to you? So if you're going to give $5, think about entering 10. If you're going to give 10, think about 20, or might you even give 50? $1 for each year of our history. As a reminder, we also gratefully accept checks mailed to the church that should say collection plate. So listen to this live music that Jesse's going to play for you, make your offering, and at the end of the slide, please stay on to be part of our joint space. If you haven't joined us for breakout rooms before, I hope you'll do so. But if you're a little hesitant on that still, we'd still like to see you after this last slide of music for a toast and then small group conversations. And so my friends, we are now at that point, at that moment, as I say every week, my friends, go in peace. Happy 50th year. May our real service begin. And thank you. Thanks, Mike, come out to me. So I'm gonna encourage you all, go to the gallery view and look at all of these people who are here. We actually lost a lot of people from, I think people click off, but I'm so glad to see you. I'm looking at your faces. And there's still about 180 of us here. So it is great to see you. So lovely to see your faces. And so I'd like to spotlight Barbara Okerson. Beth or Maggie, can we spotlight Barbara? And I've asked Barbara to offer a toast to us all. So if you would grab your libation. I feel like we should be having champagne, but it's a little early.
It is indeed. Good morning, and thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful service. This toast has three parts. The first part is with a profound and deep gratitude for our founding families, for their clear vision, their undaunted courage, and just their downright grit at creating this beautiful community for us that we enjoy today. And the second part is to Linda Holloway and Beverly Davis and all of the people on the 50th anniversary task force and staff who created something that truly rivals the situation. It was just an extraordinary service, so thank you all. And the last part is to all the UUCR members, friends, and visitors from all around who continue this audacious work of making the world a more just and joyful place. So, joy to the world.
And so now, thank you so much for the toast, Barbara. I know we all join you in that gratitude to everyone that has gone before and everyone who is with us now. So I'm going to give you we'll give you a minute to scroll through the gallery and just kind of look at each other. I see a bagel, I see coffee. It's so great to see you. And it's really nice to see some of you who grew up here who I don't know. So I'm so glad to see you as well. And so Beth and Maggie, we're going to put you into breakout rooms so you get to fly someplace, and please introduce yourselves to meet some new people and talk about those of you who have been here a long time, share one of your favorite memories. And in fact, even those of you who haven't, why don't you take turns sharing a favorite memory to get you into this conversation. All right, blessings to you all. We love you.